inducted FLICKR into the Hall of Legends, and we want to celebrate that with FLICKR's Facts Face-Off. I've got the analysts here versus the pros. These are the rules. So you can buzz in when I am reading the question. But if you buzz in, I will stop reading and you have to give an answer.
Okay.
You can answer if you buzz, but if you answer incorrectly, the other team gets a chance to answer as well. If both of you are incorrect, I will give you a hint to the answer and you can go again.
Okay.
That makes sense? Okay, question number one. We'll start with a difficult one.
No, hands behind your back.
Okay, hands behind the back, cool. How many times has FLICKR solo killed players from the LEC?
What?
I'll make the question easier. I'm gonna accept any answer within a 5% margin of error.
5%, that's
You
a
have to
huge,
buzz, right?
that's a big number.
Okay.
So okay.
60.
Incorrect. Oh, you're so close.
What? You're not allowed to say that, no!
Okay,
Why
it's
would you
fine.
say that to
We go
them?
for more, right?
We go for more.
That's a little bit of a clue.
Okay, we go for less.
Okay, how much?
Yeah, we go for less.
How
Then
much?
it has to be like 50.
We go 54.
Correct.
Eve, what are you... What?
54?
It was actually 56, but that is within the 5% margin. Question number two. What instrument is FLICKR famous for playing?
I don't know, piano.
Correct!
Yes! I mean, I knew.
I mean, I was gonna flip the same, you know? I was
That
gonna
was
say
actually
literally the
crazy. You
same.
didn't know?
No, of course not.
He's lying.
Next one, it's some ancient history. Which team was the opponent in FLICKR's first ever Worlds match in 2013?
What?
Lemon dogs.
Correct! Oh my
You
god.
dog played Swain in that game? I
Correct.
will always remember it.
Yeah.
That's why you're an
Yeah,
analyst.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
We
about.
are actually doing.
Question 4 is rapid fire. It's a question that has multiple answers and you will get 1 point for each correct answer you make. Excluding Lemon Dogs, which EULCS and LEC teams has FLICKR faced in his career?
HDK,
Go on.
Yes.
G2,
Yes.
only LEC, Fnatic,
And LCS, no?
EULCS or LEC? 3,
Misfits.
2, 1, correct? 3, 2,
they can have some.
1.
Go try,
Okay, so
Cardi.
they guessed 4. They guessed G2, Fnatic, Misfits, and H2K.
Mad Lions.
Splice.
Correct.
forgot about
Mad Lions,
How
correct.
can we forget about Mad Lions?
Say something random
Rogue.
fast.
1, no.
Never played us, bro.
I don't know. I just had to say something.
So you got 4 points, and then you got 2 points. Question 6. How many MSI and World Championships has FLICKR won?
Do you
So
know
everything
it?
put together.
Okay, Gardi, say it.
Wait, what?
So how many MSIs and World Championships has he won together? You know,
Go
like
say it.
total number.
5 what?
6.
Yes,
Yeah?
that was correct. 6. He
those
got
two
there. I'm
answers.
gonna
I knew
give
you
them
know
a
it.
point.
I
Such
knew
a
you know
flipper.
it.
Yeah, I know.
So, fake or FLICKR? In a moment, I will reveal a category about FLICKR and a list of facts. You have to buzz in when you hear something that is fake, not FLICKR. Category 1, fake or FLICKR's international achievement. Most world championships.
Wait,
So you have to buzz if you think it's a fake.
It's fake,
Oh.
so
Yeah.
don't buzz.
First back-to-back world champion.
That
World's Royal Roader.
What's
What does that mean?
we're not familiar with
First
narratives.
3-time consecutive MSI champ.
That's fake.
Oh.
Correct.
Where's your APM? You're supposed to be
I was
faster.
still lagging from the Royal Road. I'm like,
Oh my god.
What is the Rell?
I don't know what
all I know is all roads lead to me, and that's it.
Yeah. Category 2, fake or FLICKR's music video appearances. Star Walking. Rise. Phoenix. Take Over. No, he was in Takeover. I am going to read the list one more time for the pros.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
We take those.
Okay.
Pro analyst?
Star Walking. Correct, that's
Could
fake.
you make it more obvious?
Thank you.
What do you mean? What? All right, next category.
it doesn't appear
FLICKR's
in Dragon.
champions played at Worlds.
Okay.
Okay.
Rise.
Wait, what?
Akali. Champions he's played at Worlds.
Oh.
Zed. Syndra. Wei.
No!
Yeah, it was
Yes,
good. It was
correct.
good.
What's going on?
It's new one, bro. You flipped
They are
it.
not even trying in there. FLICKR's current or former teammates. Myrwn.
Wait, this is still fake or faker? Okay.
Daryl.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct, that's fake.
You're literally sitting
Yeah,
with
but
a
I'm
hand
trying.
here.
That's because you went under my hand.
Before we head into the final question, it is time to reveal what you have been playing for. And obviously, since it's FLICKR and Hall of Legends themed, it's something you all want.
Don't say
It's
it.
no Hall of Legends title,
It's the golden
but it is
broccoli.
Golden
legendary.
broccoli.
So, while FLICKR is known for his flashy moves across a Summoner's Rift, he is no slouch IRL either. Recreate this most...
No, you're not. You can't read. Stop. He busted. He busted. He didn't know the answer. I
I'm not
baited
reading
him.
anymore.
Come on,
Wait,
Kai'Sa.
can you repeat like
Recreate
the...
his most.
Yeah.
That was his
Wait,
answer.
Do you want to
God,
try
what
with
did
this
you say?
information
What
to
is-
do, and also with the context clues? Do you want to try and do?
Oh,
Maybe
yoga!
what-
Oh, no, you have to do
pose.
the thing, the flip. You know that he did to go
Oh,
into the
he did.
stage.
Oh, he
Yes,
did
he-
this. I can't do it.
Yeah,
It's
go
so
ahead.
rigged because he
Do
kept
it.
reading. I can't do it. You can do it.
Well, you have to do it 10 seconds or they
Kai'Sa,
win.
come
10
on.
seconds or they win.
It's the golden broccoli.
Yes!
Now I see why it's rigged against Analyst. Will never have a chance in this game. It's rigged for the pros.
We get those.
We gotta let them win in something.
The golden broccoli. Hey, you get it.
Was it?
Yeah, you won.
You need to
Correct.
bite it again.
His iconic roll.
My
They
back
win.
hurts now. GG.
There you go.
You can hold it, you
Bronze
can
or
hold it.
golden broccoli. Congratulations. Of course, we hope you bring home the World's Trophy one day, but this will do in the
will.
interim.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And
We
the
are about
pros
to do it.
are much smarter than my analysts.
Thank you.
Absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the casting desk. Eragon and I will take over for the bit of the Golden Broccoli, an absolute honor in esports, you know. I feel like a lot of people are increasing their vegetable content up this week by about 25%. So props to everyone who's eating more green stuff this week. Is it? I mean, you look at his hair as well, it kind of looks like broccoli. I mean, Kazi's an absolute legend. You know, Elyoya as well, let's not forget. Those guys used to be on the classic Mad as well, the one that took us all the way. Now, for GX and Mad, it's a very different story this year, and we can walk you through that journey. But first of all, let's see what we get through in pick and ban. LeBlanc taken off the board first, and Skarner feels like a must-do on the red side as well.
I immediately look at the OPs for each team here, and the first ban I really think GIANTX should take away is the Ivern. I think they love their tanks like Sejuani, and Elyoya has been B1ing Ivern, and Ivern's very good into these tanks, so take that away, take away the counter, and I expect that on the third ban. If not, that could be a very big pain in their side.
It's just crazy, you know, coming off watching LPL, LCK this morning had a banger in Gen G T1, like, priorities are completely different. Tristana B1 is something we've seen, Varus B1 as well, the Rumble is a B1, I think Mad Lions are still seeing it as a possibility since the Antonio has now moved off tanks and especially onto that singular pick. He won't have the same option this time around, so I am curious which direction they go for their top laner on this blue side, as Ashe also has been blindable on the blue side too.
Yeah, the question is now, what happens to the Ivern? I imagine Elyoya will snatch that up if it goes through. What else do you pick? I see a lot of OPs that are left available. Tristana Corki Handshake is available there in the mid lane potentially, as Flex is down to bot as well. Taliyah, Ashe is off the table now. Varus is up as well. And that Varus Flex is something that has potential for both Jackies as well as Myrwn and Supa.
Really good point as well. It's not something you'd think of, but yeah, Varus in this series should be huge, as Juhan is just going to set us up on one of the other junglers left up and available. You can see high presence in this patch as well. As for GIANTX, now that they've got that jungler, you already mentioned things like the Corki come up. The Ivern is still available as well. The Tristana. Mad Lions have a really strong OP R1, R2.
Yeah, I mean, they banned out a bunch of champions and they've left up the Ivern, so Elyoya snatches it up. You could go for a nice pairing in the Tristana plus Ivern if you want to. You have a bunch of different options. Let's see what they pick. Let's see what their choice is in priority.
Fresskowy hasn't picked it just yet. It has been along the lines of the Corki, so interesting to see that Supa gets priority with this Jinx that hangs around here in EU. On the other side, though, let's start talking about pairings, because we know Vi is not a one-man show. What is going to be looking towards it?
Yeah, I think I quite like Vi with different champions that like to synergize. Stuff like Taliyah, stuff like Ahri. These things work really well with Vi. You want a lot of point and click that can capitalize on the instant R that Vi has. And Taliyah is excellent, just like one of those.
So Eragon, a bit of a classic thrown up into GIANTX now. It's just about the question of AD carry, right? AD carry or support. We've seen a lot of hard engaged supports in this meta come through as well. You talked about this Varus pick too, which can be a major flex for Mad Lions. But we know over towards Jackies, it has been such a good pick. But with Taliyah already there, the Kai'Sa instead, another bump up.
Kai'Sa already the building blocks of a dive composition for GIANTX. You press R, you go on a single target, you blow them up. Kai'Sa can follow up on that dive as well. They hovered Varus, that's a taunt for sure. I think Jackies is taunting the Varus mid lane, asking if Fresskowy or Myrwn want to pick it up as that flex. Let's see if they do it. Let's see if they let it go through down bot side as well. I think it could be a good pick with the Ivern.
Well, for now, we're just going to let it pass through, aren't we? Ivern alongside the K'Sante here, so we've got our supportive jungle with the tank front line here. Already the building blocks, let's just talk about Mad Lions, trying to set us up for front to back.
Yeah, already really easy to go on the front to back here. I think you have different roles locked in for either team, right? So for the side of Mad Lions, you can pinch top laners that you don't want for K'Sante to play into that fit the theme of the dive. Ornal on top of Vile is very good. That's why they've taken that away. Gragas could be another consideration. For GIANTX, you pinch mid laners because you have the Taliyah and the enemy team don't have mids. Hwei could be good, but usually you want an AD pairing with the Ivern. Yeah. So, you know, what AD champion do you have with the Ivern? Corki is there. I think Jace is also an option, but Jace doesn't really like Vitally as a combo.
And I guess GIANTX are like, well, we're not going to start banning it out. We're going to get rid of some of these supports that can link up with Jinx as well instead, because there's too many mid laners. You already highlighted a few that could work with the Ivern mid. Renata taken away with the Malphite and another one of the top laners in the Ornn as well, you just mentioned before. Let's see what the round out is for GIANTX.
I think Yone is also really good into Taliyah and also is a great pairing with the Ivern, so I wonder if they'll take it off the table here, but I haven't seen Fresskowy play it before. Not really a him sort of champion, but you know, he's been busting out different kinds of styles. Maybe he has it in his arsenal.
We're going to find out, aren't we? Because again, another pick that's just left open. So Yone, Corki, Tristana still up and available here. And we know globally, a lot of these champions are taken into Taliyah. There's only a certain few that are seen as resistible when going up against that mid-v-mid matchup. Let's answer your question there, Eragon, because again, we also don't have support on the side of Mad Lions. Koi, let's see if they want to look towards composition or get an early mid pick here, and looks like the answer is get Fresskowy on the Azir.
So what they're doing here is they're saying, you know, I can play the Azir into the Taliyah, which is typically not that great of a matchup. It's really hard to deal with the in-your-face kind of nature that Taliyah brings. That's why I don't really like it here. I prefer something like Yone. But Fresskowy loves Azir. Now, I think on the other side, GIANTX, Gragas is looking fantastic for me here. In the context of a front-to-back and a dive composition, you can layer the Gragas ult on top of the Vi ultimate and then bring that immobile AD carry into you.
Are you worried about AP damage though? We've seen Kai'Sa with flex builds with Nash's built in.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, if you really are worried about it, you have the alternatives. You have Gnar. You can just do sort of an isolated counter if you want to for AD damage. Renekton's up as well for the single target burst. Renekton Taliyah is also a combo and it works pretty well. In general, Renekton as a champion works pretty well into the K'Sante. It's really up to what... Oh no, of course, the Antonio. There's no way, right?
Just wait.
That's the Myrwn classic. He's not going to do it.
Let's just hold and pause because again, going into the top lane, that ain't his egg, that ain't his bag.
No.
We're just going to wait and see. I mean, the Antonio has been a tank player, and as we look back at his Hysterics, there's all his time in the ERLs. We know that for this guy, he's been comfortable on tanks. Poppy, another version of that. I guess against the Azir, there's a lot of functionality there as well.
It's also a good isolated matchup into the K'Sante. You don't see it very often, but it is good. And of course, the Antonio loves his tanks, so that is the option. I think Gragas was the alternative, but he locks in the Poppy instead. Now, GIANTX have a huge amount of dive into the backline. Rell ultimate, Kai'Sa ultimate, Vi ultimate, and Taliyah layering on top of it. Yeah, whereas Mad Lions Koi, they have a lot of front-to-back team fighting. They're very, very bog standard. We have front line, we have a major mid lane, and a front line in the Daisy as well, and a Jinx. Let's play off those resets, but front-to-back versus dive is the dynamic.
Does this feel like a winter composition from Mad Lions Koi from you?
A winter composition?
Yeah, like feels like earlier in the year we had a lot of front-to-back composition. We had a lot of, you know, these K'Sante built comps where it felt more simple to execute is better in League.
Honestly, I quite like compositions that have a lot more agency. I think they're easier to pull off. I think pressing R on a single target's very, very simple, and what GIANTX have pulled together, if I was on either of these teams, I'd prefer to play GIANTX.
Oh, it's interesting, again. I mean, the question about where the time slot fits in Mad Lions composition is an interesting point in itself, but I like that because a lot of people don't take that angle. They don't take the angle of like, well, point and click, like pick targets, you know, utilizing snap engage and getting these great lockdowns is easy to execute. A lot of people have different opinions. I'm curious to pick your mind going into this game because GIANTX are on death's door. I mean, 0-4. If they lose this game, it is going to be so hard to come back. It is pretty much impossible. I mean, 5 wins, talking about it with Vedius before, it's pretty much a lock-in, if not a guarantee, as we go through. 0-5, the opposite end. And for GIANTX, what a hard season. When Jackie's has been playing so well, when Juhan has come in, this ex-world champion who, yes, sat on the bench as a sub, but still contributed. The Antonio, a change-up in topside. GIANTX have gone through some trials here, and it looks like the tribulations aren't over.
And you really want to see Jackie's pick a win. I know the whole team probably wants to, but there's been so many games where they've gotten so close. Even yesterday versus G2, you know, that Baron throw was an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
Getting so close to winning and not being able to close out the game, and a lot of these games have been really miserable. So hopefully, you know, Jackie's can pick up a win here, and so can the rest of GIANTX.
I mean, it has been a great debut year for him as well. It's only been going up, and we want to see what GIANTX can pull off. If this is going to be their last stand, or at least they're going to be their last split for the year. No season finals for them. It means that we're going to have to see what GIANTX look like towards the start of 2025 as well. That's the lead in. Now we look for a little peek here from Supa and Alvaro, just trying to get some vision in enemy jungle, but no lane swap, which is great to see. I mean, I was thinking about it this morning. Lane swaps have been dying down quite a lot. They've been late, less of, maybe as a response for grubs, but apart from that, we are pretty much away from perma lane swapping meta. I think we're all better for it.
Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? I mean, who
like
doesn't like seeing actual 1v1 action in the top lane?
Yeah.
And top lane is not having 0 CS at 5 minutes. That's pretty good, isn't it? I mean,
is nice.
having them run mid lane and gold card on TF as their most useful function, pretty bad.
I mean, getting to see tanks versus tanks again, I mean, it's weird for me to say that, but it is quite nice.
I mean, take a look at the blue buff right now. Elyoya has got some funky pathing. He's marked a bunch of camps topside and ran straight to the blue buff, but Juhan, he sniffs it out, and immediately he's gone from red to blue to cover off any kind of invade. Ward down as well from Elyoya, but he's going to go back. Mission failed. Yeah,
we'll get him next time, and we'll clear out our camps for the meantime as well for Elyoya. It's going to be a quick clear thanks to the root caller, and note that that ward that's come through from GIANTX is in the know that Elyoya is pathing up towards his top side. So again, information is traded off.
Yeah, and generally, this kind of composition from MDK, it's very slow.
Yep.
You don't have any playmaking in any lane, no setup topside until 6, and even then Poppy's a matchup that wins into the K'Sante. Mid only has a play in the scoop post 6, but even that is not that consistent, and bot lane has no setup either. So it's really, if we're going to see any action, it's going to be on GIANTX. You have the really nice engage from down bot side, and also the mid 2v2 in the Vi and the Taliyah setup one-shot combo.
But I feel like we start looking and talking about level 6s then, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of that engage, a lot of that, you know, snap lockdown from Juhan, from Jackie's using his semi-global is going to come through then. As Fresskowy takes a hard trade, but at least gets something back. Mid's getting a little bit dangerous, but again, to echo the point, level 6, that all in, those ultimates, feels like when you started talking about dive comp, that really resonated with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a little bit of action coming in. Juhan, much stronger at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Alongside Jackie's with that combo and the spells, if they manage to layer up that CC, it can be absolutely brutal.
Candy Crush Ivern just hitting away as he does. Again, doesn't he? That's a skin where he eats all his friends as he backs, isn't it? The absolute monstrosity. Someone had a sick mind and was like, oh, let's put in something dark in here. Absolutely love it. I mean, he's a friend of the forest after all, so it's a good balance to his old nature if you know the lore. He's on the bottom side for now. Elyoya just picked up Scuttle Crab. Top side is there for the taking, but as you can see, Juhan is still clearing down towards his bottom Krugs himself, so both junglers now hovering down this bot side of the map.
Yeah, Prio seems pretty even down mid, down bot side rather. Wonder if we'll see any action. Juhan's going to try and sneak into the bush down bot. If you look at the mini-map, and Elyoya's on the way as well. Now, any kind of skirmish at this point in the game, Braum is very potent in them.
Oh, yeah.
So, depending on how the marks land up, pretty bloody, but I think in general, when you're playing a sort of Vi composition, like we said, 6 is very important. So often you only see a gank if it's really free, and outside of that, you play for your level 6.
Crash. That's annoying as Jackie takes a quick trade through mid. I mean, this is hurting him a little bit more. Cameraman, not wrong to go there. Knows that something could happen as we get to Gall Age, but the crash down comes through. Braum, again, we talked about, it's going to be rough as IgNar's the first to get stunned up. Elyoya providing support as Supa looks for the re-engage. The flash on as concussive blows stack up. Winter's Bite secures first blood for Alvaro. Out with a little Vault Breaker, but Juhan ain't out of the woods yet. He gets poked on his way through as well. And for GIANTX, losing their support, they thought they had the play.
Smart from Elyoya, often the catalyst in the early game for the side of Mad Lions Koi. Cancels his recall just in case there's a gank. They see it coming. And those Braum marks that we talked about also doing work in that team fight. That 3v3 down bot side, MDK come out on top.
It's like you've played against this before, you know, just spotting out Alvaro and, you know, whether it's level 1 or just early levels. It's a great thing about Braum, isn't it? You got to think just outside of the shield. You think about what he does in small skirmishes, especially when there's a lot of attack speed on this comp as well. Yeah. Always loved it with the Jinx pairing. So first blood does go over Alvaro, and you'll be a bit upset it doesn't go on the right carries, but it still sets up for the push that comes through, and at least giving them a nice reset timer down bot, while as well giving a nice early game lead for Mad.
Dragon will be taking about GX here. Now, there is no grubs to take on the other side of the map. Because of the different spawn timers for grubs, they got set back a minute.
Yep.
Usually what you would see at this point in the game, maybe about a couple months ago, would be a trade of Dragon for grubs here. Instead, they're going to look for a topside play. They're actually swapping And this is really nice. They're swapping Jinx up to topside before the grub spawn. Now, because of the mismatched timers on the Dragon spawn and the Herald spawn, Juhan potentially has time to come and contest these if he wants to.
I'm going to pause though because it looks like Matt is setting up a play. He's trying to get the push in, and Eragon, he does so successfully, but now he has to get out of there. Ulti, all right, yoinky. See you later. Supa just has to walk it back, and a nice ult to disengage before he gets caught out.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no Jinx there, there's no damage, right? Ivern, Braum, not exactly the most potent combo. Ping's coming down from blue side onto the grubs. I do think their champions are a bit stronger right now. There's the sweep.
Oh, he tries to go in. I think the Emperor's Divide is actually flashed. Jackie's nice timing on that as well, but Fresskowy now without a summoner as well as IgNar. Looking for the crash down, and Shattering Strike, not even that. Ends up moving up, and Patrik is now here as well. Noting that Myrwn doesn't have TP to get to top.
Yeah, GIANTX are investing full 5 numbers here. If it's going to be a 5v4, if there is a fight, MDK have to be careful. Any kind of play has to be fast. Otherwise, they're going to lose.
I've seen games lost over grubs here, Eragon. I've seen games swung about as plating goes down on the bottom side. Thank you, observers. It looks like for Mad could be caught with their pants down. Patrik looking to chase up. No level 6 here, but the Antonio just used his. Hammer shot down, nothing to gain. Pushing them off the grubs is the small win here for GIANTX. Noting that they want their early game to really capitalize as much as possible.
And I have to say, I don't really like this trade as much for GIANTX because they can't really use grubs with this comp as well as the other team. So losing a bunch of waves on Patrik, you can see he hasn't farmed up any waves in a while now. A bunch of XP, a bunch of platings down bot side as well because of that demolish from Myrwn. It's going to be kind of rough in the 1v1 top side as well as for Patrik.
Nice to see the shot call though at the very least, you know, especially since Dragon goes down, they move up their bottom lane after the push as well. A bit more resilience from this team who have really struggled all year long. I mean, for GIANTX, the change through the top jungle, that's what took my interest the most coming through in this split naturally. And especially when you have someone like Juhan in who adds experience into this roster. I know there's a lot of people get triggered by it. Go, he's a world champion. It is a fact. He has a skin. He ran the skin yesterday. I don't know if you saw.
I actually didn't.
We saw the DRX Maokai skin that came through yesterday from Juhan, and I think there's a lot of potential for this guy to grow in this region. Alongside the Antonio's finally getting his shot. Now, as we get our objectives down, we have a bit of a timer now. 3 grubs in full. We're taken up in that top side while we look 2.5 minutes for our next timer.
Quite interesting. Swapping back. I feel like MDK are ahead of the swaps here.
Yeah.
Sending Jinx down bot side because the Dragon is respawning in 2 minutes 30.
Does this count as a lane swap?
Look at mid. Ult on Juhan.
Oh, Vault Breaker comes through. Cease and desist rather. Sets it up onto the Ivern. He ain't got too much steadfast presence to bounce out. Elyoya unable to move in the end, and GIANTX chain CC perfectly.
There's the single target CC that we called out with that level 6 on Vi. The Antonio's going to beeline topside to catch that wave, make sure there's no cross-map play for plates on Myrwn. I will say in this entire time, though, Myrwn has been getting a lot of resources. This is going to be a really tanky
Kai'Sa, yeah. I mean, he's just going full on full. I'm not sure if he took Demolish here, Eragon, but at the very least, 3 plates, I believe, in total from both bot and both top now. As Alvaro getting deep in the enemy jungle here. IgNar one away, but just waiting to see if Juhan takes the engage. Yes, he does. But again, that ult was already burned in the previous exchange, so Alvaro feels confident getting deep vision.
Supa has tier 2 boots, so he can get in and out of these fights, back down to bot side if he wants to pretty quickly. Going back down bot, but look at them, they're getting pushed out of the jungle. That's a red buff now for MDK.
Supa, as soon as he pushes this as well, can move alongside it too. Smite comes through, instant takeaway from Elyoya, and he's also got 6 now as well. Daisy's here to play.
Now, going down to bot side, no ultimate up for Juhan, so any fight really isn't that GIANTX favored. And in these all kind of long kind of all-ins, unless they're bursting a single target, the DPS from the Jinx really adds up, and the all-in is very MDK favored. So GIANTX gonna have to wait for those cooldowns. Juhan just gonna farm up for now.
So the game goes back to lulling about a bit, doesn't it?
Yep.
I mean, mid is just Fresskowy favored for the time being. If you haven't noticed, we move the camera there every time. Elyoya likes sitting bot. I'm sure Juhan will get there shortly as... Remember, the Weaver's Wall adds a bit of context into this bottom lane as well, Eragon. I mean, Jackie's, we saw at the previous exchange, but doesn't have that up and available either. So MDK, it'll be a flat 3v3 or 3v2, depending on who walks in. Root Caller's there. Concussive blows are going to follow through onto Patrik. Immobilizes him. He gets the cleanse out and flashes as well. But now with another Winter's Bite, IgNar is sent packing too. There's the follow-up, and MDK aren't stopping yet.
A little bit of miscommunication, it feels like, but Fresskowy's going. There's a rocket coming in.
The rocket flies through. Fresskowy does his due diligence, and IgNar is sent right into the candy man. Elyoya picks it up, and just like that, MDK moving further and further on the board. As a nice sidestep from the Antonio. In the meanwhile, Vault Breaker's going to flash. Myrwn needs to be taken down, though. The cease and desist is not enough, and the steadfast present comes on out, but you can see Myrwn has to go into ulti, back on out for the tank stats, but eventually it is enough, and GIANTX get a response in top.
Yeah, winning across the board. I feel like that trade for MDK was winning down bot side though. Jinx with all those plates down bot. 2 left to take for first blood turret, but in that initial play from MDK, it felt like they went for 2 separate targets. Ivern threw a Q at one target and Braum ulted another.
True.
So if we get into a replay of that, that'd be fantastic. I think if they didn't do that, they could have burst out a single target if Ivern saved his Q.
As you said, I mean, I thought at first it's very ingenious, maybe about getting both targets at one, but Fresskowy actually caught out. Wait, the crash down. This will secure it. Caught out Fresskowy. What happened there after great trading through mid? One mistake. And just like that, GIANTX are going to be looking at 5-6 grubs in this game.
GIANTX definitely feel online now that they have the spells. The Rell setup for Taliyah W was clean. Should be a free 6 grubs.
If we've learned anything, playing around mid is a success story for GIANTX. Yeah. It might not close them games, but it's definitely how they can set them up. So a kill on Jackie's is well earned, especially after the bullying that he received from Fresskowy's Azir. As 6 grubs goes down. As you said, you want to see Jackie's ult, and there it is, comes through, double TP. It's a fight in the top lane. It's a rat. Now for Juhan as he runs forward with the knockback there. It's perfect onto Supa. He doesn't get to play the Jinx. Immobilized, taken down. And just like that, GIANTX keeping their dreams alive at 0-4. That double spells a bit of mad koi trouble.
Yeah, Jackie's with the proactive ultimate towards topside. They had no ult on Juhan, but it didn't matter. Curiously, though, Myrwn actually TP top, but he didn't have ult because he had the 1 versus 2 versus the Antonio. So he's not able to make a play. He tries to ghost in, but he can't do anything. And proactivity coming from GIANTX.
Really nice to see again. It's such a change from the start of year as we look at this replay again.
Yeah, take a look at this. You can see Jackie's posturing in the grub pit the entire time. I was pointing at you, and TP comes down. Now, where is Myrwn's TP? He also TP's in very far away, but he doesn't have ultimate, so he just ghosts and runs around a bit down at the bot side of the fight. But the initial burst is way too strong, and GIANTX have won the fight before Myrwn can do anything.
So let's reiterate what Eragon talked about. That's you.
Aw.
Earlier on, the pick, the one-man, you know, burst down and take out composition, as we know from Vi and Taliyah, perfectly done in that situation. Supa doesn't get to play, and when Jinx is just isolated and unable to move, it's a really bad story. 2 kills on this bottom lane, by the way, for Patrik. We've seen a good week of Kai'Sa so far, and I think we're also seeing a very good day of this Vi-Taliyah combination, as GIANTX are also going to be taking the second dragon on top of the 6 grubs.
Yeah, it's really rough. I mean, yesterday MDK drafted a very similar sort of thing with very little agency in the early game for Elyoya to work with, and I just don't think this is how this team functions best.
Yeah.
I love it when Elyoya has setup and plays that he can make generally early on. Last week, I think they played for a Varus top lane, and Elyoya did absolute work, but in this game, like I highlighted before, K'Sante has no setup. Azir has a very thin window at 6 where he can shuffle someone in, but that was avoided by Jackie's, and bot lane has no setup either. It's all reactive with the Braum relying on engaging into him.
Lots of point about Elyoya. I mean, I think, again, yeah, where we've seen him be really proactive in the early game, like the Xin Zhao games, are some of his best games this year. Earlier in the year, especially when we're getting aboard the mad hype train. Yo, let's not forget, Cran finalists at the start of the year as well. Mad made that miracle run with this team and have stuck to it ever since, but at this split, we're not getting the same vibes, are we? GIANTX look to push them and meet them at the score. There's another pick tool again. You cannot be walking by yourself against the Vi and against the Taliyah. Alvaro has to get out of there. He burns his flash as well, but what are we doing so deep?
Yeah, GIANTX utilizing these globals so damn well.
So damn well.
Kai'Sa coming in from 3k range as well, on top of the Taliyah ulti. Nice setup from IgNar and Juhan too. Just really clean, honestly.
It is good. 2k gold lead, by the way. I already mentioned the double dragon and the 6 grubs. Like, it has to be said for GIANTX. One of their best early games so far, I feel. And, you know, as we look at the replay here, they're being really reactive to what Mad are doing. And like this, Elyoya overstepping.
I mean, yeah, globals just give you numbers advantage, right? Insta collapse. As soon as Elyoya oversteps, he gets bursted. And the idea behind the Ivern is that you could shield the burst that comes through from the composition of GIANTX, but you're so far behind that that's just not possible. And now, the win con for Mad Lion's Koi feels very thin. It feels like you just have to pray you can scale with the front to back of an Azir Jinx scaling, and pray that your Elyoya can keep them alive as well.
So how much time are you going to be given? I mean, Patrik is going to... Well, that's how much they need.
They need a lot, yeah.
How much they're going to be given a very different story, right? Is almost an item lead down bot side, by the way, as well as for Patrik. As he starts pushing out with those Ws, Mad think again about doing their Herald. Antonio zoned out. There's a TP from Mad to try and secure this objective. And Eragon, I think they desperately want this Herald to try and break open the map.
Yeah, I think what's really important about this Rift Herald as well is it can be used to secure Dragon, because you can place it before the Dragon, then move into River and secure it. So Mad Lions Koi, they identify that the third Dragon's very important, and they're going all out to try and secure it.
In the meantime, while Turret goes down top, it's not like they're foregoing it completely. At 5k, Juhan picks his angle. Lenses to let him know as at 2k now for the steal. The poke onto Supa, the back end is secured by Mad, but the Antonio yeets one away, and now with the wall out, zoning them through. A double knockout, a double bounce up, and Alvaro looking to get on out, won't be accepted. The Antonio now zones out as Supa is left isolated from the fight, and Myrwn is trying to flip the fight. The all out is good, but again, the Antonio stands in front, and this guy has just developed week by week. GIANTX are tearing Mad apart, and this team doesn't know what to do.
The Antonio playing extremely well, securing topside as well on the Taliyah. They just have so many tools for creating numbers advantages. Knocking away on the Poppy, then also having the globals to dash in. It's just phenomenal. I love this draft from GIANTX.
And I love the proactivity. I love that Juhan is starting to warm up to the series as well. Sorry, to the split. I mean, GIANTX is so much development. I've been big on this team despite the scores. This fight kind of tells you why.
Yeah, numbers advantage is everything, right? Watch the Antonio. He knocks someone away, and then suddenly it's a 4v3. But then it's a 5v3 because Taliyah can also fly in. And there's just nothing you can do because you're missing a player. So, amazing. I really love. Shout out to the coach. This was a fantastic draft.
And I mean, further on it as well, let's not forget, I mean, even though Patrik's getting zoned away, on the other side, the top laner is zoning away people like Fresskowy, Supa as well. Mad can't operate in the fight, and Antonio does it again. Steadfast presence, a shove into the wall, and a seismic shove at that as well. The Earth does not want Fresskowy to live. And the Antonio, man, I apologize for doubting you in the first week.
I mean, he's just so clean on tanks, isn't he? Finding the pick into the wall with the teleport.
But he wasn't this clean on Ornn. I'm going to be completely real. I don't think his Ornn gameplay was great at all.
I don't know what's happening.
He moved on to Rumble, he got agency, he felt himself, and now back on tanks again. Bro on Poppy. That's the biggest yordle I've ever seen.
Yeah, what can the Antonio do with counterpicks? Turns out it's a lot, right?
yeah.
Turns out he's pretty damn good on these counterpick tanks and the Poppy into the Kai'Sa.
Well, I mean, he got R5 Ornn, remember week one?
That's true.
So it's like, it's a weird change, isn't it? I mean, again, it's been really great from him. I think Juhan has been a lot of the setup here in this game. Again, we had high expectations. Don't really think he filled it in the first couple of weeks either. First week, excuse me. Often forget as we get towards bot side, and GIANTX are going to push this turret down now. As this falls flat, you can see the gold lead is starting to go with it as well. 4,000. When we said Mad need time to scale, GIANTX are not giving away this early game at all.
Now the question is, where did Herald go? I'd love to know, was it placed up top side by Fresskowy when he died up top trying to get top tower? That's a possibility. And then he got collapsed on. Or did they get killed and were they not able to pick it up? Regardless.
Maybe our brains did not register, we'll
maybe.
find out. It's always like, I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, there it goes anyway. I probably saw it and it just flew right out of my brain. Right, Fresskowy, in the meantime, going to be pulling this. This is an objective bounty, by the way, that just popped up. So nice for Mad to at least pick up a turret and close some of that gold that's running away from them.
Yeah, really nice to pick it up. Now the problem is, you have 6 scrubs on the side of GIANTX, and any kind of side lane play where you're trading evenly on side lane turrets, you're going to have more tower damage for the side of GIANTX, so every even trade is winning for them. Now they can just keep playing side lanes, shadowing Jackies, placing deep vision to allow him to permapush, and he can't really be matched at this point, especially with the threat of the collapse and the Vi ultimate, the snap engage, as well as the engage from Patrik.
Focus as well gives so much information away as a second item too. Speaking of second items, you can see Gwinsu's static picked up by Patrik. He is a dueling machine on hit. Going to start hurting people like Myrwn as well. While we wait for the 3 items we should say, for Fresskowy and for Supa. And Eragon as we get towards 20 minutes. I mean, I'm starting to believe GIANTX, they're in a bit of a puddle of their own making, right? Every week, every day, we've been complimenting Jackies. It's really hard when last year going from LPL, I'm like, oh man, this series and this week, right? 7 days a week. We get to this point now, and I'm like, man, it's only been 2 weeks.
I mean, this has to be a GIANTX win, I think, at this point.
Do you know,
I said this yesterday when I was watching them.
Big shout out, first of all, got to interrupt you. That was the time when FLICKR won Worlds.
Wow.
So, we gotta throw it in there because the man's absolute legend. I don't care if we're overdoing it. You guys know it's well deserved. You can continue on now, Eragon. Hit me up. What are you gonna say?
So, my point is, it's 20 minutes in the game, and yesterday they threw out Baron, but they are so far ahead and have so much Baron damage surely with these 2 items across the board. Okay, it turns out I can't write on the screen very clearly.
All right,
The engage going down.
man's been blocked for the reason as Fresskowy actually engaged on as well. He gets ulted and he died from the range of Jackie. Patrik was in there straight away, and the pick continues to surprise MDK.
Yeah, 2 items to 1 is my main point across all the carries on GIANTX versus MDK. So any fight is super easy. They pull the trigger with the globals now. Baron start. It's going to be an easy turn. They still have IgNar with that Rell ultimate. All he needs to do is press R if they walk forward.
Now, Eragon has been locked out of the magic screen. It looks like MDK, the same situation, locked out of this Baron area with numbers disadvantage, still trying to walk on in. I am indeed, because he has Flash available in the Magnet Storm. Baron's going down real quick at 3k, 2k. Still, it's just not going to be objectified, and for MDK, they just have to walk away hands empty.
So hard to walk in if you're MDK. The threat of that blast cone. Telbo coming in though.
That's because the Antonio is thinking about an angle. He's got Flash, he's got his ultimate available as well. Poppy hammer out, and who does it send to? Numbers just like that. Again, clean stuff from this Poppy top, and another one bites the dust.
Again, a play. A curious TP, I think. Trying to force a fight, it feels like frustration. After the enemy team secure the Baron, you can't do anything about it. Anyway, Poppy ult comes down, and they force a numbers advantage fight, and once again, GIANTX win. It's clean.
Props to the GIANTX fan. At the start, when I started this year in winter, I think there were 2. Okay, I think there were a couple of GIANTX fans. It's definitely great. It's like the SK fandom. You know, at the start of the year, there was 1. But now there's definitely a lot more. And it's nice to see, especially since, you know, people have said coming off MSI, 1-team region. Well, I don't believe in that, especially with Fnatic's success, SK's success. Let's see how GIANTX can succeed as well. Elyoya getting stolen out, blocked by Supa in the end. Thank you, redemption of his own making. He also flashes though, and the MDK jungler is sent away.
Yeah, flashing so Supa can block that W is pretty crucial there, but now he has to go down base, and that's a tier 2 terror on my screen. A lot of gold going to be over to GIANTX. And there's really not much they can do, because they don't have that much engage either. This team composition really lacks any kind of agency from MDK.
Now, I'm going to guess that you don't like the composition. 6
Yeah,
times
I've said
now.
that a lot,
6
haven't I?
times. Yeah, you really don't like the composition of MDK. You've explained your point. I love it. You just you slip it in there. You really slip it in there.
I do like when compositions can pull the trigger or do anything.
Yeah. But that's why I said to you it's like winter, right? Because in winter, I feel like maybe spring, someone could paraphrase me. There are a lot of front-to-back compositions that needed time to scale. Remember, like Jinx meta heavily, right? And we had a lot of scaling down bot and mid, and this Azir Orianna meta that came through. And I feel like now we're moving to a lot of poke tools, a lot of, you know, like semi-globals that come through, one snap engage comp kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of change. So I feel like, I mean, GIANTX, this is quite an adaptable comp to the now meta, you know, especially with something like the Kai'Sa mixed in.
Absolutely. I really like the GIANTX meta. Now, the problem is, look at Fresskowy's items. Don't look at his items. But in an ideal world...
What do you mean? I looked.
In an ideal world, he has like a Seekers on top of a lot of items. He just now completed a second item, and it was 1.5 to 3. That's why it was painful to look at. In an ideal world, he has a Seekers as well to maybe dodge out on Juhan's dive and cancel it out in DPS. That's really the thin win condition I feel like they have now, but they're against Chemtexol as well, I think.
Fresskowy's had one swoop there, like one good play in the mid lane, which he got an assist for, as Jackie's has had many great walls. It's blocked by Alvaro, though. That's an interaction. Glacial Fisher is out, and Jackie's is rooted in place. With the Winter's Bite and concussive blows, he can't go anywhere, but no one else can reach him. Daisy says, howdy, and as they run into the base for GIANTX, they still find a pick. It looked egregious, it looked over the top, but Mad just don't have enough oomph to take him down.
A nice attempt coming in, trying to find a pick onto Jackie's. They catch him in the traps, but then the Antonio's peel onto the Cassante as gets yeeted. But
that's what the ult should be called. Poppy yeet. It'd make more sense.
It really is apt, isn't it? Good description.
I mean, that'll Poppycopter as well. Side note, that's coming up next, by the way. We're also looking forward to that one because Korean bot lane's going head-to-head. That excites me as well.
Which bot lane is the best in the entire league? That is...
Hey, I'm going to go further. The best in the West right now. Bro, I watched LCS last night. I don't care. I know in EU we're very competitive, and I say we now because even as an Australian, I'm technically from the UK 400 years ago, I think it was, coming on a ship. That makes me part of the EU, I think. I think, you know, like Eragon's like, I'm not saying anything on this, no way.
I'm going to leave that there.
But as I count myself among you guys, I'm going to tell you one thing, and that is that we are better than NA, okay? I don't care what happened at MSI. I was there. Yeah, yeah! You know what?
I mean,
I'm right. I don't talk myself up. Now we're getting TSM chance. Oh, what have I done? Well, as we get this fight and a choke, I'll talk over it just to make it resilient. As Jackies gets out on a wall, he surfs out of there, and MDK almost finds something out of nothing.
I'm just going to harp on that.
Why?
What do you care about? Wins against the West, West versus West, or do you care about wins against the East? And I feel like G2 and EU clears
that's
NA.
why, yeah, that's why we're bigger than them, right? We're bigger than North America because we almost, and I'm saying we again like I'm part of the team. Sorry, G2, I didn't really do much, did I? Almost beating T1, that was like better than 1v3ing as Renekton top. Like that was a bigger dopamine rush than anything I've ever played in top lane. That was so cool, and that was so close. Anyway, I'm harping on. I'm going nuts because at this point, it's a 10k gold lead. There's Soul in hand. Elder's coming up at 320, but another Baron to go for GIANTX. They're on death's door, as I said at the start of this game, but, you know, finding a win here makes the impossible more possible. Then lead up with Rogue, that get in line with teams like MDK here, and as we get another cease and desist lining up through the mid, IgNar 3-man Magnustorm makes it so. It's an Emperor's Divide that does not send anyone for a glide. And as Myrwn jumps on in, he hopes, he dreams, but he finds nothing but the supreme of GIANTX.
And it feels clinical from GIANTX from start to finish. A small fumble in the early game down bot side, but outside of that, Drake stacking, Grub stacking. They secured absolutely everything. Ends 15-2, and GIANTX, they pick up their first win.
At 27.5 minutes as well, their first win comes so boldly. It was impressive, it was clean, it was a leg up. And regardless of them making playoffs or not this split, they'll look back at this and saying, this is what we can do. As Mad Koi sit back near their fountain, they try for their own pick. They've only gotten 2 of them this game. And onto Jackies, they look for their third. It's close, and Supa runs out of range in the end. Even that's denied as GIANTX come to life in summer.
Yeah, the man on your screen right there, it feels like this is long overdue.
Finally.
Getting a win here from Jackies, it's got to feel good to be him.
Man, finally, this guy has been performing out of his mind in this split. He's been the rookie of the year for me. And GIANTX finally get their due diligence. I mean, this was a really good game considering that, as you said, and you harped on a lot, the composition difference here really mattered so.
Coaches, the players, everyone, I think, did absolutely phenomenally. It was a team effort. It wasn't just the Jackie show. Everyone from the Antonio peeling to the diving from Patrik and Juhan early game. Everyone did phenomenal.
And you can vote for your key player of the game at LEC on X, the Juhan, Jackies, or Patrik. Ooh, actually a tough one. I don't know, Juhan had a really good early game. I think he had his best game yet, for sure.
I think it's hard, and like I said, it's a team effort. I'd go Juhan personally. A little bit of a misplay down bot side.
But maybe with all the MVPs that Jackie's missed out on in the 4 games, maybe it's time to give it to Jackie's. Ladies and gentlemen, speak of the devil, we are actually going to toss 2 Jackies in an interview after this short break, and I'm finally glad to hear from the legend himself.
Red Bull gives you wings.